what is UPL status?
Yeah, he had a great summer. He looks good, ton of work in the summer, and then as he was ramping up, kind of getting that closer to game mode, call it, get closer to training camp, he just started having some pain. Without going into the weeds too much, he was just not able to, probably the right way to say it would be to be strong and push and the stuff that he needs to do. So obviously did imaging, and a lot of doctors involved, and the imaging's clean, which is the good news. So they're just trying to do some rehab and figure out exactly how to get him over the hump. So, he's kind of in that day-to-day mode. It could be a little longer. We'll know probably more over the next few days exactly where he's at, but it's encouraging over, I'd say, the last 3 or 4 days.
You signed a goalie on September 11th for a season that starts October 9th. I mean, what is the level of concern that it could be something that's going to carry you a while into the season?
Yeah, I mean, we thought about that. Obviously, you're taking in all the information between what the doctors are telling you and the imaging, and then actually talking to Upi himself, and so you're taking all the information. And honestly, Mike, I think it's really important to have internal competition no matter what, and to protect ourselves. I think we've had a good off season. I like the way we've been intentional with how we've worked through a lot of different areas to improve our roster, improve the staff, and this was just for me an area where you have a goaltender in Georgiev that's played over 300 games in this league. He's played playoff hockey. He's at a great age. He's been around the league for a while. That was there that we thought could come in and provide internal competition, and I think we have that at all positions. So I'd say that's a positive.
What is the injury, and what's the diagnosis of it?
Well, it's tricky. I don't want to get overly specific on exactly what it is. I'm not a doctor, but it's lower body, and he just was unable to have the strength and the confidence to perform if there was a game tonight saying I'm 100%. So there's no alarms right now saying that, it's a significant injury, like I said, but there was a tweak that he didn't feel great. So we just have to make sure we protect ourselves, and I'm really being honest with you guys that it's one of these situations where it's day to day, but could it stretch a little longer? Yes. Do we think that'll happen? No. But he may not be on the ice first day of practice. We're going to kind of see how the next 3 or 4 days go.
Alexander's body of work is very good, but he didn't have a good year last year. Just what makes you think that he could get back to being the goalie he was maybe 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, you guys have heard me say this before. I just think the nature of the position, there's a lot of variability. There's a handful of goalies in the world that are they're there every year. And then there's a lot of movement in the next, call it tier or tiers of goaltending. So he's had success in the league. He's proven that. Like I said, he's got experience, and that's a great thing. So I just felt like organizationally, when you can add someone like that, especially with a little bit of the unknown on exactly where UPL will be, it was the right thing to do. And if you don't add someone like that and you don't get the news you're expecting on UPL, and then if some little or tweaks happens to one of the other guys, all of a sudden you have really young guys in the pipeline that are potentially here. And I just wanted to make sure we did everything to protect ourselves and get off to a good start.
He said he had a good summer and was feeling well. Is this just kind of the wrong time for this to happen? Only because you're coming in, it's a big year for him, it's a big year for you guys, and to have it start this way, does that concern you?
A little bit. What's interesting about the issue he's got right now is there's zero pain in terms of anything in the weight room, walking around. So it's just when he's in a certain kind of position on the ice, which obviously you need to be in to perform as a goaltender. So, yeah, concern is maybe the, right word, but, everything the doctors are telling me and everything that, even in the last few days, the steps he's, making leave me optimistic that we'll be seeing him sooner rather than later. But we'll know more in a few days for sure.
Surgery's been ruled out?
Yeah, for now. Who knows if something, he had a setback or something. But for right now, that's absolutely not something even being discussed.
You told us a couple of times how you feel about Alex Tuck. How is that negotiation going?
So I'd say that Alex has been told very clearly by myself and the organization how important he is to us. We want him here long term. The good news is that he's said the exact same thing about being here. He wants to be here. He's made it clear to me and to us, and we've had good productive conversations with the Bartletts this summer. That's his agency, and like these things take time. We're gonna work through it, but I think for me, in my experience over the years, the most important thing is you have alignment on those key principles of wanting to be here, believing in the organization, and now we'll keep working at it. So that's something that's a priority, though, for sure.
How tough is it, the climate of the league right now with these guys who are a year out? Everybody's kind of waiting, it seems. He's not in the Kaprizov McDavid ledger, but everybody like that is kind of waiting, and it might draw things out for everybody.
That's a good observation, Mike. I think that's exactly right. There's a number of players in the league right now in similar status, meaning a year left on their contract, free agency around the corner if they chose to go that route. And I don't think it's by accident that you haven't seen a lot of extensions, coming through, especially with some really high-profile players. I think it's a nature maybe of the players trying to figure out where the market is and where it's headed. The team's trying to understand exactly, where they can go and from a cap perspective and manage it. So, I think that's real. And, but that's something that we've talked about a lot internally this summer and with Alex's camp as well.
Kevin, go ahead, Bob.
You were very open that Bo was at a unique stage of his career and he had some options and you were exploring some stuff. But ultimately, what led you to give Bo the 2-year extension? And why is he back, I guess?
Yeah, well, when I try to be honest as I can with you guys, and when I kept telling you over and over again that my intention is to keep Bo Byram on our team, I was being honest. I think he's a really good hockey player. I did not want to trade him. We're open to making any improvement we can via trade if we think it makes our team better. But my priority was to try to get him signed and also improve our roster and our D core and the mix and find the right shot D combo that we've been looking for. And it was tricky because I wanted to do all that, but I also didn't really want to use Bo Byram as the trade piece to do that. So that was a difficult situation to work our way through. I think we got to the spot that I was comfortable, and I made it clear to Bo at the end of the season and his agent that we'd like him to be here. And we know where his status is. He signs a 2-year deal that I think gives him more time here to see how things are shaking out, and hopefully he's here a long time though. But I think it was a big deal for us to get him under contract and in a good spot and ready to start the year. And I think when he was paired with Rass last year, they were really good. And I like the way our D-core looks. It was a big focus of how we were going to build this offseason.
He likes Buffalo and he likes his teammates. But did you have to convince him a little bit that this is the place to be, we're going to be fine type of a thing as you were talking to him?
Bo, yeah. I think, the CBA is the CBA. Players, you have the rules of the rules in terms of when they can hit free agency and all that different stuff. And obviously for him, he still thinks he's got a chance to continue to get better, as do I. I think he loves the city, he loves the people, he loves his teammates. He's just trying to figure out how do I maximize and become the best player I can be. And as my conversations with him and then ultimately his agent as we finalize the deal, where I think he's in a really good spot to do that here, and so does he. I think we have an elite D-core. I really do. I think we're one of the top D-cores in the league. I truly believe it, and it was a focus and an emphasis this summer. We need to be a better defensive team. We have to keep the puck out of our net. We have to get better defensively. That's not just our D, but Bo Byram was an important piece of that, and I made sure he knew that.
Kevin, when it comes, GMs in a big picture, GMs generally get 5 years to deliver on their plan and get judged on it. Entering that season, and what are the internal and external pressures you might be facing or you might be feeling going into this season?
We got to win hockey games. Honestly, John, I could stand up here all day and I can explain exactly why we've made moves or what I'm excited about with the roster, and it really doesn't matter. You guys are going to write what you're going to write or say what you're going to say on the radio or TV. That's fine. We need to win, and I'm fully aware of that. And I'm excited about that because I believe in this group. And for me, I don't get up every day thinking about my own situation. I'm going to get up every day trying to improve this team, trying to be the best leader I can be for the players, the staff, and ultimately do it my way, you know, and that's what I believe in. Working as hard as you can possibly work, trying to get better every day, and if I do that, it'll shake itself out the right way.
Nobody in this, almost no one in the history of the league has dealt with the situation this team is going to deal with. None of these players, none of them have been here for 14 years, but that's all they're going to hear about from fans, from media, from out-of-town media, until such time as you make the playoffs. You can't make the playoffs in October. We've seen you can lose the playoffs in November, October, December, whatever. What is the message for this team about, you know, you got to start the season, but everybody's talking about the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's first of all talking about it. It's okay. You know, we're gonna go through camp, and this is gonna be a really hard training camp, and not as a punishment, more of we need to raise our standard, and that's going to be, it's been very clearly expressed to the players at the end of last year through the changes we made with strength conditioning. There's a higher expectation. So, you know, that's where you start. And then we're going to have a little retreat at the end of training camp where, you know, when you get down to your roster, where there's some team bonding and, you know, some honest conversations that are going to go on that I'm excited about to kind of get everybody on the same page. And that's something we'll talk about. Like, yeah, you're right. These players can't or worry or think about 14 years ago, but they're going to get asked about it. So how do you process that? What do you do? Ultimately, for me, it's really simple. Just be in the moment, you know, and just show up every day and be a professional, put the work in. We win hockey games by doing things the right way. It'll take care of itself. And I know that's a cliche and it's easy to say that, but I just truly believe it. And if our players buy into that, the noise is the noise. You just have to block it out and understand that that's part of it.
Do you have to do things differently, though, as the GM, if things go a little south here that maybe you wouldn't have done a couple of years ago?
Well, I guess differently, I don't know what you mean by differently, but I think for me there needs to be a steadiness in the way I approach every day. I believe in this group. I believe in the coaching staff. I believe in our players. I believe in this group, and I believe we're ready to take a big step this year. They have to feel that from me, and the ups and downs, every team deals with it. So it's, for me, a consistency of belief that they're going to feel, even if, you know, we lose a couple in a row or however that goes. But am I going to do everything I can to make sure that we're improving and adding to the team if there's something to do? Of course. That's always what I'm going to do. But I want the players to feel the confidence that I have, and I'm going to make sure they do.
This isn't directed at you because a lot of people have stood at that podium before you making similar statements. I believe in this team. The fan base, though, however, seems a little down, skeptical perhaps. How do you get that message across to a skeptical fan base that has had promises, vows made that haven't been fulfilled?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I said earlier, honestly, John. Like, words are words. Like, I can't stand up here and, you know, talk to our fan base and say anything other than I am genuinely excited about this team. I am. But we have to prove it on the ice. We have to win games. And we have to get that building where when teams come in, it's a fun atmosphere. It's the fans are into it. We're hard to play against. Like, that's my job, and it's taken time. You know, we have depth now at all the positions. We have roster spot battles. We have competition internally. I think this is a healthy way to go into training camp. But you're right. Like our fans we need to earn that trust and respect by the way we perform on the ice. And anything I say up here ultimately doesn't really matter. We have to prove it.
I'm curious, I guess, where the gap is, because it seems like he checks every box. Like, the risk of letting that go into the season seems like it would be not something you really want to do. Like, where is the gap, and why isn't it done yet?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you exactly, but I just think it's a little tricky to get into the nuances and negotiations publicly or any of that, so I want to be careful there. But, you know, we'd get a deal done today if it's the right deal. There's not a let's wait or this. It's just a matter of working through something that makes sense for both sides. That's the best way to say it. No matter what, deals aren't ever easy to get across the finish line. But we're going to work at it, and it's a priority. That's really the best way I could answer it.
Is there an urgency, though, to get it try to get it done before the season so it's not a distraction hanging over this team?
Yeah, I mean, it works both ways. You know, like for me, sure, you know, it would have been great in August, September, October. That's great. But they're also, for him, it has to be a comfort level of this is the right time to do it. So yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm going to continue to talk to his agents here in the coming days and have some meetings lined up, and we'll keep working at it. So I'm not going to put a deadline on it, though, Matt. I don't think that's really fair. I think it's just one of these things that he knows that he's a priority, and we just got to get it done.
Kevin, what is your vision for this team? You know, what do you want to see from this team when they step on the ice October 9th?
Yeah, I want a team that, first of all, we have to be harder to play against. We have to be a team that at the end of the night, when you use home, you know, when we're home, teams know that, man, that was a tough building to come into. That was a tough night, and I think we've been too easy to play against, and I'll take responsibility for that. And that's not anything to do with age or fighting or any of that. It's just being more competitive. So harder to play against, competitive. We identified players that we thought would check those boxes. I want a better defensive team. We have to clean up our defensive play, and I do believe that we've made some significant changes to the roster that will help in those areas, and also a team that plays with passion. You know, this is the greatest game in the world, and when you're an NHL hockey player, there's no better job in the world. So go out there and enjoy it and compete, and you know, I think that's the type of team that I envision, and I think it's also the type of team that our fans get excited to watch.
Kevin, how or who do you think can replace JJ's offensive production?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. It's something we talked a lot about. You know, scoring is an area that we've done a pretty good job in terms of putting the puck in the net, and we have players that can score. Honestly, like, it's, to me, less about who's replacing the goals and more about how are we not giving up as many. And what are we going to do to be better defensively? Well, how are we going to manage the puck better? How are we going to just play a more mature game, and you're up a goal in the third period, and maybe you're not extending your shift, or maybe you're not trying that extra play behind the back pass, or you just, you know, those type of things. So I'm less worried, and we were very intentional about this in the offseason, like less worried about the talent and the scoring and trying more to get that harder to play against two-way veteran players, guys that understand how to play in this league, and that to me is where the focus was and needed to be.
You mentioned several times how you think this is a better defensive core. Obviously, Michael Kesselring, I imagine, a big part of that. What excites you the most? What is it about him that you think will really help elevate this team?
Yeah, I think I may have said this, you know, when we made the trade, but generally it's tough to get 6'5" right shot D that can skate and play in your top four, especially kind of in their prime years. It's just very difficult. I felt strongly that he's a type of player that can slide in and play with Owen Power. More, you know, Lindy might change the pairs, however that works, but he's going to bring a presence. He's got a nastiness to him. He plays hard. You know, he's still evolving as a player, but I think he's going to have every opportunity to have a big role here.
And how much Owen Power first?
Good. Yep, he's ready to go, 100%, and he'll be good.
And what kind of things can Michael do to help Owen Power? If they do play together a lot and get that consistency, what kind of things can he bring to Owen?
Yeah, he's long, he's competitive. You know, I think he'll have the ability to. He can skate, to get up ice, to be, you know, and he's skilled enough to be able to make plays with Owen or whoever he's playing with. But, you know, I see maybe an ability to kill plays in the D zone with his length and physicality, and then let's get the puck out and go. And, you know, Owen's proven that he can play with anyone. He can play either side, but I just think having a stabilizing partner for him is important. I've been working on this for a while, so I'm just excited to kind of, you know, see how it looks when they hit the ice.
How much of a factor was with moving JJ, thinking about where Zach Benson and Jack Quinn bouncing back, and guys like that who maybe didn't produce as much can go with their offense?
Yeah, you nailed it. I think there's some ability internally for guys to be elevated. You know, Zach's still a young player, you know, but now he has been in the league a couple years and kind of learning what you know, the league and how to make it work. And so I do expect that from him. You know, Jack Quinn, I had a really good conversation at the end of the year with Jack, and a real heart-to-heart in some ways in terms of honesty, that he owned where he, you know, was deficient in certain ways, and he went to work. And I believe in the character, in the work ethic, and Jack Quinn, and I'll bet on that kid all day long. So I do expect us to have some bigger production out of both those guys.
You've gotten through development camp, the prospects challenge, so you've gotten a good look at Ruddy Murtka. What was the initial takeaway for the organization about Ruddy?
Well, he honestly, like, rookie camp's fast, physical, chaotic hockey. It's tough hockey to play just because it's, you know, there's a lot of chaos out there. But I thought he really, really looks like a kid that's more polished than even you'd expect at that age. Just little plays he'd make. He's got a physicality and a meanness to him that we like. 6'6", and he's raw. You know, he's got a big upside in terms of building up his body. So, love what I've seen so far, and he's a great kid. He's come in from day one at development camp, and just a presence about him, and, you know, we're excited. He's a good prospect.
Would he be eligible to play in Rochester this season?
Yeah, and that's something we'll discuss. I do like the situation he has in junior, you know, in Seattle. So we'll have those discussions. But I'd like to see him maybe get in a game as well in the preseason here early and just kind of evaluate where he's at. But he's going to be a good one for us.
We've spent a lot of time talking about UPL and Leon and Georgiev. Where's Devin Levi in this whole thing? I mean, at what point is he ready to make the step up to the NHL level? And is this franchise losing confidence in him?
He not losing confidence at all. I mean, I believe in Devin Levi. I think I just told him this the other day. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be a really good National Hockey League goaltender. When is really up to him, you know, and that's okay. He's in a situation right now where he's in a really good place mentally. He's started to build his game and, you know, getting the starts that he needs. He'll tell us when he's ready. And I think we've been pretty, you know, proven this over the years. When players, you know, push it and they're ready, then we'll figure out a way to have him here if he can help us win hockey games. But he doesn't need waivers, and it's also it's not a bad thing for him to be able to continue to work on his game and build his game if that's what we choose. But I have no doubt in my mind that Devin Levi is going to be a really good NHL goaltender.
Kevin, who is doing Adam Merritt's job right now, and what is the organization going to do? How do you handle this going forward?
Yeah, I understand, Mike. I respect the question. I hope you can respect a little bit that obviously this is a legal issue, and he's on administrative leave, and I'm wishing him all the best. I can't really say much more than that, but we do have a plan internally in terms of just making sure that we have coverage in terms of our prospects, and you know, we'll see, you know, as we move forward here, we'll get that even further along in some of the meetings over the next week. But yeah, I'm thinking about Adam.
So no one has been named?
No.
When it comes to Isak Brezan, this is his 4th year pro. Is this the year he's got to show you guys? I mean, he didn't have a great prospects tournament. Is this the year he's got to step up and show you guys that he can play in the NHL?
Yeah, I think that's fair, Paul. You know, he's really done a nice job in terms of his progression from when he first was drafted to where he is today. But you know, my message to the young guys before rookie camp, and even today when I meet with you know, everybody later this afternoon, is, especially as a young player, you got to go take someone's job. You know, nobody in this league is going to give you anything or hand you a job. You have to go earn it. And I think, you know, for me, Rosie's at that spot now in his career where it's time. You know, whether he makes a team out of training camp or starts in Rochester, when his name gets called, you know, you kind of have to have that mentality that, you know, I'm here and I'm never going back. I'm taking someone's job. And that's something I've told him directly as well. So, yeah, I think everybody is on a different timeline, but, you know, I think he's been here long enough and had experience where I think he realizes that as well.
When you're like scribbling down the names and you're trying to put together what you think the lineup could look like, and I know there's a lot of moving parts here, do you have a preference between where Tage goes, whether it's at center or at wing?
Well, no, in terms of, like, he's really capable at both, and he's more than happy to play both. What I like now is with the depth we have at center, it really gives Lindy the ability to decide, how he wants to utilize Tage and where he thinks that he can be most productive. And there are, I mean, people that really understand the game at a high level will see even within shifts, there's times where maybe he's playing wing, but he's kind of playing center at the same time, the way defensive responsibilities or whatever, however it works out. So, you know, I think Lindy will make that decision, but the best part is he's comfortable at either. That's the best way to say it. So with the depth we have now, with Norris being healthy and ready to go, I think it gives Lindy that flexibility.
Other than UPO, anybody not ready for tomorrow?
Tucky's day to day, so he may not be out there tomorrow or the next day or two, but he's nothing significant, just a little bit of a little minor thing. So that's day to day. Jordan Greenway will not be ready to go to start camp. He had a setback in his rehab and had a second surgery. I want to say it was mid-July. So probably the timeline for Jordan would be somewhere around opening night. But that doesn't mean he'd be playing. That's just to be cleared and ready to go. So he is going to miss a little bit of time here, and you won't see him during training camp.
How badly do you feel for him? I mean, he's been through a lot, Jordan.
Yeah, tough, and he had kind of, all signs were progressing well in the offseason, and then he was skating pretty hard and had a setback and, had to get re-examined and ultimately ended up having to have a second surgery. So not the news we wanted, but he's working hard right now. He'll be ready.
Is there a bit of any philosophy change a little bit with guys like Hellenius and Osland and that group is like, you don't need to rush them.
Yep.
You've got guys where they can stay in Rochester, develop that type of thing. Do you have a little bit of a philosophy change there?
I don't know if it's a change, Paul. I mean, I think when I look at, other than probably Owen Power's different, number 1 overall pick, and he would have come in and played on 31 other teams as well. Probably other than Zach Benson, who was a little bit of just the way he played and just every other prospect we've had, whether it was Jack Quinn or Paterka at the time or Samuelson, has come up, through Rochester and kind of, they told us when they were ready almost, just with their play. So I don't know if it's a philosophy change. Where I think it's different though, Paul, is I think we have better depth. We have competition at all positions. We have depth where the young players are going to need to take someone's job. And that's I don't care if you're a first-round pick or a free agent signing. Like, you're going to have to earn it, and that's okay. So I really like the pipeline we have. I like the competition we're going to have in training camp, and I think that's going to make our players better. But and then when they come up and they're ready to take someone's job, they're going to feel that, like, I've earned this, I'm ready. So not a philosophy change, but I like the situation we're in.
Take 2 more.
Going back to Zach, early stage of his career still, what is that progression, just development in terms of what you want to see in this next season look like, maybe compared to against some of the guys who've been in the league a little bit longer?
Well, I think the nature of a player like Zach is, always a high-end scoring type of player, meaning just, at every level as a kid. And then you get in the NHL, especially 18, 19 years old, it's tough to produce. So I think the next kind of, evolution in his game is just to more production, and then force the coach's hand where he gets more power play time because he's playing so well. And I mean, he does so many little things during the games of just the way he can dig out pucks and make plays, and he's really good defensively for a young player. But I think that's probably the next step in his progression.
There's obviously a lot kind of changing with the cap environment, new CBA. You mentioned some of those big guys that are up for deals, kind of maybe holds things up a little bit on the market. I'm curious, I've noticed whether it was Marner, Draisaitl, like they have these bonus-heavy deals, and Florida has a ton of these bonus-heavy deals. You guys haven't done your deals quite like that. I'm curious what you've maybe noticed about that environment and what your philosophy is on structuring contracts that way.
Yeah, well, like we've something we've thought a lot about. I mean, ultimately, everybody's got a little bit of a different philosophy or how they do things, but when we started signing now a few years ago some of those extensions or longer term contracts, we kind of had a template that we used, and whether it was in trade protection or you saw probably some of those deals with maybe a signing bonus in year 1 but then flat structure after. We just feel that makes the most sense for us. But, you know, ultimately, they're going to end up with the same money in a year. So it's not, you know, for us, I understand why other teams do it, but that's for internally, we've had a lot of discussions on this, and it just feels like that's the structure that we've landed on that makes the most sense.
For guys that want it though, like, you know, is that something competitively that you're able and willing to do?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if it's never going to change, it wouldn't be a deal breaker if that's what you're asking, but you know, I think we have an internal structure that we've had that works for us, and you know, that's Rasmus Dahlin was similar when he signed his extension, and so that's something that we've stuck with. But no, there's never been any sort of conversation, if that's what you're getting at, like, oh no, you can't do this or you can do that. We want to put the best team together we can possibly put. We're always keeping an eye on the marketplace and other contracts that are signed. We understand how that works across the league, but we just want the best players we can and get them done.
All right. We'll be here with Lindy in
Thank you.
just a minute.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.